2. Oh, I am live. Okay. Hi, everybody. Hello? Hello? Am I there? I see a few people in the chat already. That's what I like to see. It's the same people every week. We love it. We love a Humane stan. Hi, Becca. Good morning, Ben. Good morning, Randall. Good morning, Rory. Good morning, Nigel. Good morning, Lakshman. Good morning, Josh. Good morning, Eric. Good morning, Kevin. Hi, everybody. Need a haircut, man. Enzo.
No.
Not
No.
the first person to say that, though.
Yeah. Well. Listen. Need and want and deserve. All interchangeable words. Do I need a haircut? Does anyone need anything in life?
Mm-mm.
I don't think so. At least the beard. No. I don't. I'm going full grizzly until you have a humane AI pin in your hand. I'm not cutting my hair. How about that? How's that? Jenna's like, holy shit. Hair is good, bro. Thank you. Back to buzz cut. It's crazy. Jenna, who's sitting right here, who I'll introduce in a second, was just saying how quickly my hair grows, and it's so true. I was looking back on photos from like October, November, when it was like, even I think December was the last time I buzzed it. And then I've sort of been growing it out ever since. It's kind of crazy. Okay. Jenna Arnost.
Yeah.
Thanks for hanging out today. Thanks for doing this so early in the morning. It is 8 a.m., by the way, in San Francisco, 8:04 to be honest. It's always so strange still for me to wake up here, and it's like New York has a whole day. I wake up at 7 a.m. and it's already 10. Markets are open. You could have had your morning workout. You could have had coffee and breakfast, and you could have been at work already, all in the time. And I was thinking, what would it look like if we just had the same time zone across the whole country? How crazy would that be? And it's like
really easy to stay in communication with people, right?
I know. Okay, I'm not going to get hyper philosophical on time and time zones. All right, I'm going to put my computer down. I'm just going to read some more of these comments here. Why did you change your name in Twitter to X? Because you got to lean into the new.
What's the new? Sorry.
Wow.
No,
okay,
I live in Utah. What do you mean?
No excuses.
There's always excuses.
Wow. Yeah, Twitter is in the process of rebranding to X. So the profile photo, when you load twitter.com, instead of seeing the bird, it's an X. The handle now is just @X, and they switched it over yesterday. So someone actually had X who's been sitting on X, and from what I understand, he was paid out very handsomely. And he's in San Francisco, of all places, too, which is kind of crazy. So now you go to @X on Twitter, and there's 100 million followers, and it's like the Twitter account is, yep. So they are phasing out Twitter as a brand, which we don't need to go too into this.
No, we don't have to. It's too early.
I certainly have my thoughts. I don't think it'll matter in 5 years.
I didn't know what I was getting myself into asking that question. I apologize.
Do you remember when?
all good.
Do you remember when? No, it's okay. Do you remember when Musical.ly was a thing?
Yeah.
Jenna. You're like, Musical.ly, yeah, I use that app all the time.
Yeah.
Before TikTok was TikTok, it was Musical.ly.
Got it.
And in 2018, they rebranded, and not many people batted an eye. And now, 5 years later, no one misses or talks about or wants to bring back. And I just think that there's been so much turmoil, for lack of a better phrase, with Twitter as a brand and with governments and censorship and whatever, all this stuff. And maybe it's a good thing to sort of shed that past and rebrand, because this is what Casey says. He's Mr. Neistat says, you're only as good as your last at-bat. And so people will know Twitter for X, Y, and Z reasons, pun intended, but like there's going to be a large group of people that maybe joins X knowing it used to be Twitter, but if they were never on Twitter before, they don't have such a strong tie to it. Mm-hmm. I think that there's so many people that are like, oh my God, this rebrand sucks, Elon sucks. And it's like, yeah, you care. We get it. You're passionate. You care, right. But you're still here. You're still using the platform. Anyway, that's my scorching hot take on X. All right, Jenna.
Yes, Sam.
So to kick things off here, I sort of I explain what we do, and then we do it. So I like to take things all the way back.
Yeah.
To like you as a young individual, your childhood, and then sort of unpack how you found yourself in that chair today. The whole
Oh my gosh,
thing.
how much time do we have? What time is it?
Just about an hour, and the
Yeah.
hour will go by really quick.
Totally.
So, yeah, Jenna Arnost, take it away.
Yeah, so I was born in LA.
Wow, you're a California kid.
Yeah, no,
Wow.
people think I just like grew up in Utah, but no.
Wow, born in California.
Yeah, I'm a Valley girl, Encino,
Wow.
California.
Wow, so real Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And then I went to college. Then I
No, hold the phone. Do you have any brothers and sisters?
I have an older brother,
have an older brother.
Tommy.
Okay.
Yeah, he lives in New York with his wife Jamie.
Okay, so not in Utah.
No.
Okay. Okay. Did you do? I mean, you're a designer here, right? Is that fair to call you a designer?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Okay. Did you do design things? Did you do computer things growing up in school?
No. I was a terrible student, actually.
Tell me more.
No, school wasn't for me. Like, I think there's a lot of people out there that they, what is being taught just doesn't really work well for their brains. Like, I had to take algebra, like pre-algebra, intro to algebra, algebra 2. I failed like every single one of them. Like, can we just get a different math? Like, why is every single grade
and why,
like a different version of the same thing?
And why at that point, at that age, does the curriculum feel like we need to be teaching us algebra? It's like, how about we learn how to save money and pay our taxes?
100%. Exactly.
Just the basics.
Just
you
the
know?
basics.
Yeah.
Totally.
I'm not asking for much here.
But then I had a geometry class and I got a 98 in it because it was visual. And so I'm a visual learner and just the shapes and it just made sense. And then the next year was algebra 2. And I was like, well,
Wow.
and then I went back to summer school.
Wow. Wow. So this is something that you've carried with you.
Oh, I
If
would
this
never
is
let
if
it go.
I'm like, tell me about your life. And your life, math
Math.
is really hard.
That sucks. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Wow. Wow.
No, and so then I went to Goucher College, which is a small liberal arts school in outside of Baltimore. There's like 1,400 kids. Very few people know about it.
So wait. You didn't touch computers in high school?
I mean,
for school?
I mean, I touched them and like
Yeah.
like did.
But
Photoshop
it's not in
and-
the way it's today, where every kid has a laptop and
No.
your whole curriculum's on the
No,
computer.
like I
and
know
stuff.
how to hold a pencil and like write in cursive and like.
Nice. Same.
Yeah.
I know
No,
how
but I
to
mean, like
hold
cursive is sort of
Yeah.
like this.
a dying
Yeah.
art form.
Yeah.
Did you take typing classes?
Yeah, I think in like first grade or something, or like second grade.
Same. Yep.
Yeah.
Learn how to
Early
do
on.
touch typing and the home keys and
Yes.
yeah. Okay.
Home keys, yeah.
And you learned Photoshop in high school?
I taught myself Photoshop. I thought I was a photographer and I was going to be a photographer. And then I realized that
Wow.
like everyone could be a photographer and I wasn't that good. But I liked, I feel like that's where I found my creativity was just like in Photoshop. And I taught myself probably like 3% of what Photoshop is actually capable of doing because it's this like insane program.
And you had no YouTube to teach you back then, really.
Correct. Yeah, back in the old days.
There's a book and
Back when-
pictures.
when-
Crazy, huh?
Yeah. Textbook when dinosaurs roamed the
Yeah.
earth.
I was like, no, absolutely.
Self-taught Photoshop to edit your photos?
Yeah, I would do. So what I liked doing in the darkroom was just I forgot what the process was called, but basically double exposing a photo, and so like you just layer photos on top of each other when you're exposing them, and like you do everything. And it's a lot easier in Photoshop to do that. So I just started doing those types of things.
You were taking photography classes in high school?
Yeah.
Remember what camera you're shooting on?
No.
Canon?
Yeah.
And you developed your own film?
Yes.
So your high school had a film
Darkroom.
program
Yeah.
in California?
Yes.
In Los Angeles? Okay.
Yeah.
So that enabled you to sort of go beyond the surface level of like, what is Jenna's purpose in life if not mathematics?
Because that was not going anywhere.
Yeah. So it was
Yeah.
photography at first.
Yeah.
Okay. What kind of photography? Landscape photography? Portrait photography?
Oh, just like angry teenager photography.
Okay,
Just
okay.
like overly contrasted.
Do you have any of those photos from back in the day?
Oh, of course.
You do?
Oh, I've got my whole portfolio.
Wow.
Still. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any photos of like your family? Like, were you actively taking pictures of that kind of stuff? Your friends, or
Mainly just friends and
any selfies from back in the day before selfies were a thing?
well, it was funny. We had to do this reflection assignment, and so there's like photos of me like in a mirror, and like then I thought it was like so cool and just like so original. And then we came to review, and like everyone had the same photo.
So you just took the photo in front of a mirror.
It was like that standard photo.
But
where you
here, interesting, up here at eye level.
yeah,
Interesting.
and then like
Interesting.
you went down, and you went up. Yeah, we didn't know the angles back then.
And were you shooting in portrait or landscape?
Oh, I mean all of them.
Both.
Yeah,
Fixed lens.
I don't.
You
Really.
don't know. I'm asking you the really tough questions. I'm
Yeah.
just curious because
I thought you just asked what we have for breakfast.
there's well, that's
Yeah, you
usually
skipped that now.
I
He
was
skips
prepared
that
for
one.
that answer.
that's usually my opening line. What did you eat for breakfast today?
I had popcorn. I came from the airport, so it was like the thing that I
Oh,
got.
you got in today.
No, last night. So I got
Okay,
in at like
okay.
11 p.m.
Okay.
And so I didn't have time to. I have to have breakfast.
And that's breakfast, Jenna, is popcorn?
I mean, it's
Sure.
8 a.m. I'm gonna have gummy bears later.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I learned about 10 minutes ago, no coffee.
This on coffee does not.
Wow. I mean, but I mean, you certainly
gonna
are I mean, I like this because I make it myself. I certainly don't need it.
I've noted like it's a process.
It is. It certainly is. And I never drank coffee in college. When I was working at The Verge, I also really didn't drink coffee that much. And then I maybe started like, oh, let's go for a coffee, and it like felt like a hipster kind of cool, like
Yeah.
instead of like a cigarette break, it's like a coffee break. And I'm like, oh, I get why people drink this, except it makes me feel like really like when I was 24, 25 and I started drinking coffee, I could like feel it in you can feel
Yeah.
the caffeine rushing through. I'm like, I don't really know that I love this. But now that I'm over the age of 30, I think that starting your day with a burst of this is a great thing to do. And then just the sort of ritual of like steam the milk. I have my whatever.
I think you're one of like 4 people that know how to use that machine.
Definitely.
And if people find out, you're gonna be the barista.
I got, of all people, to teach me about the coffee machine. It was none other than Patrick Gates, who gave me a crash course in my first week, and he knows all of the nuances. I mean, he's like, and him and Ken both sort of like walked me through, and now I have it pretty much dialed in.
Yeah.
And I know when the machine's not working, so I pull a double shot of espresso. I have my Ghirardelli chocolate sauce, and then I steam oat milk. It's basically like an adult hot chocolate, and instead of spending $8.50,
See, I'm into that. I would have a hot chocolate any
the
day.
thing with this drink in particular, Jenna, next time you're at a coffee shop, which will probably be never, but next time you go to a coffee shop, it's like cappuccino, this, whatever. At the bottom of the list, the most expensive one is always the mocha, because they got to charge you for the chocolate sauce. And then don't even get me started on the alternative milks. You want to put an alternative milk, sometimes I've seen them charge $1 to give you other kinds of milk. And I say, what about the lactose intolerant? Forget vegans for a second. What about the people that they cannot contain themselves if they drink milk? Anyway,
Take back the stream, Jenna. Take back
I
the stream.
anyway,
So then I went to college.
I not only do I enjoy, and this is what happens when I'm on
Jeez, the
coffee.
questions that I've been asking really just set them off.
Yep.
Yep.
And so now instead of spending $8.50 on something, I take matters into my own hands. I can drink it slowly. I get to drink it in a cool mug.
I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. Now you're like,
Yeah.
Sam, shut the fuck up. Once
No,
this live.
no.
I'm
just scared of what else I'm going to say.
So cheers to the coffee.
Cheers.
We were talking about your photography.
It went nowhere.
How did you decide where to go to school?
I wanted a small liberal arts school on the East Coast.
To be away from.
I just didn't want to be able to I didn't want it to be easy to come home if things were getting difficult or whatnot. Luckily I went there because I met my husband there, Henry. So, yeah, and I went to an East Coast college tour, and I walked on that campus and I was like, this is beautiful.
Did you know what you wanted to do at school when you went?
Photography.
Wow, so you were full sending on photography.
I was all in. So I did
Wow.
communications and media studies with photography. And
Wow.
then one summer I was an assistant wedding photographer, and basically what ended
That'll
up
take
happening.
the passion away quick.
Oh my gosh! But I realized like I was not good, and so what I was good at was the editing. So I was just in Lightroom and doing all that. So all the tedious work that she didn't like doing, I just sat at the computer and did it.
When you say editing, Jenna,
Yes.
what do you mean by editing?
Like color correcting and just like basically going through like thousands and thousands of photos, because weddings, you
Yep.
just had one. Like the photographer, there's digital.
thousands,
They
yeah.
shoot thousands, and they
yeah.
always have a second, like an assistant that shoot like the other angles.
The B-roll angles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you have to go through every single photo. It's like, is someone chewing? Is someone blinking? And so like
So
that's
the-
why all photographers at weddings take their break when people are eating, because no one is gonna want their photo taken when they're like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
mid-chew.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Editing, the sort of process of editing, right, is not just like cropping, or it's like the whole picking the photos.
picking the photos.
Right.
And then when you work with the photographer, they normally have a style, and that's why couples choose them. And so she had like her own filters that she would apply to photos. So I would just go through all of them, apply them, figure out like how to, how much of the filter needs to be toned down or whatnot. So it was just like hours doing that, but like I loved it.
Creating consistency, yeah.
Yeah.
Were you self-taught with Lightroom as well?
She taught me. Well, she just was like, this is similar to Photoshop, but like not. I was like,
Yeah.
it's not. It's very different. Yeah.
And did you actually get a degree in photography?
It's sort of like a minor, but like not really.
Okay.
Yeah.
But media studies,
Yeah.
you kept. What sort of curriculum did that look like for you at a small liberal arts school?
I mean, well, the greatest thing about Goucher was that one of our gen eds was you had to go abroad, so you couldn't graduate unless you studied abroad somewhere, which was like, I think they were the first in the country to do it.
Wow, that's amazing. Where'd you go?
I went to Florence like any other
Smart.
girl.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I learned Italian. Like there was 2 weeks where they sent you to this super small town that no one spoke English. So everyone's super engaged in the elementary Italian class. And then once you get to Florence, everyone speaks English.
Yup.
So it just like went out the window.
Wow.
But it was so fun.
So you spent 3-4 months
Yeah.
in Florence, Italy. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's where.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
And I went for the first time. It is phenomenal there.
Yeah.
It is really something
I mean, the
else.
food and just...
Yeah.
And I mean, just to be able to live in Europe is probably the coolest thing, because you can just hop on a plane and in an hour be in an entirely different
Yep.
country, culture.
Yep.
And you like here, you fly an hour, you go to Arizona, which is
Yeah,
like amazing,
I was
but
about
it's
to
like
say.
it's
Not
like
much
Utah.
different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even going
Yeah.
from here to New York, I'm like, I spent 6 hours on a plane or 5 hours, whatever, and
And you're like, you're
Yeah.
only in New York?
yeah.
Yeah. It's so true.
you have to
There's-
travel an hour to actually get into the city. Like
Oh,
once you
God,
like,
don't even remind me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the worst part
you're going
about
today, right?
I am. Yeah, I go to Newark because my apartment's in Lower Manhattan.
Yeah.
So instead of like going all the way from JFK or LaGuardia, it's like relatively close, but still.
Yeah.
I mean, here to go to SFO, it's like sometimes it's literally 15 or 20 minutes.
great.
It's
Yes.
so
Yeah.
and I have TSA and all that stuff. It's
Yep.
I've timed it before. I think I've literally like got in the Uber here and been at my gate within 35 minutes. And sometimes like you land in JFK, you're taxiing for 25 minutes on the runway, then to get in, oh God, it's
Yeah.
hell.
Yeah.
But New York. I think this is probably, I mean, for you too, same Colin, the longest I've been away yet,
Same.
I think.
Which is
In
how
all
long?
of,
Yeah.
I mean, I've been here 11 months now, which is crazy, coming up on a year, which is crazy. It's been 2 months. Last time we went back was like late May.
Yep.
Yep. And now it's
And
been
8 months for me.
Yep. At Humane.
Yeah.
That's crazy. How long have you been here, Jenna?
I've been here almost 17 months.
So coming up on
'Cause
2 years.
It's a month more than how old my baby is.
Ooh,
I was-
I like that. That's easy
Wow.
math.
Okay,
It's
at
not.
what
It's
point?
not. Yeah.
At what point does one not count months anymore? It's like, oh,
I
my
do.
baby's 25 months.
I say he's 1.
Okay.
He's 15. But then the problem is
Is
then
he
we're
like 0 turning 1 or 1 turning 2? Or in the middle?
no, but then you still have these like intermittent pediatrician appointments. And they're like, well, how old is he? because there's like the 12 months, the 15, there's all these different ones. And I'm like,
based on months, yeah.
yeah. And so that's really why people do it. And the things change so much, like in months. But no, as soon as he turned 1, he's 1.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Like socially. But when that question, when that question came, I was like, I've almost, because I started February 28th, 2022.
Of 2022. Okay,
Yeah.
so like right after George started GK.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I feel like that was a big, like halfway through 2021 and then through 2022. Basically, this place grew.
Yeah.
Like when I made my video a year ago, there was, I think I counted like 150 or 160, maybe 180 employees. Now we're like 220, 230, 240, something like that. Yeah, it's pretty nuts. I feel like 2022 is. Okay, back to college, Florence. How did you meet Henry?
I just met him in college. I mean, 1,400 kids. You're bound to run into someone.
In,
he was
in class.
No, he was just the cutest one at school, and I was like, I need to meet him.
Amazing. Wow, you didn't have classes together. Mm-mm. Wow, and you sent it.
I sent it.
You sent it.
And then,
wow.
He hit on me first.
Oh yeah.
And then I
That's how the
rejected
story-
him.
Wow.
And then I hit
Smart
on him.
Henry,
Smart
can
play.
you attest to this
Oh yeah,
story?
yeah.
Oh
and
yeah.
then I hit on him, and then he rejected me. So we're like,
Wow, dishing it
evil,
back.
even playing field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, now you're married and you have a child.
Now we're married.
Wow.
Yeah, been together for almost 15 years, and we've got a babes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why was he at that school?
Why is that? I'm kidding.
You're right. No, you're right with that kind of line of questions.
Lacrosse. So he played lacrosse, and clearly, I mean, he's very athletic. But so I think it's a D3 school, but they have a really great lacrosse program.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was.
And you started dating in college.
Yeah.
And then just continued dating.
I went abroad. So he's 2 years older than I am. So I went abroad. We were together. I had 2 years left of school. Like we were together long distance. We were long distance for like 6 or 7 years. Maybe it's 4 years. I don't know.
That's wild.
And I don't recommend it for anyone.
Yeah.
But it's really hard. But like it's all about a schedule when it comes to that, especially if you're on different time zones, which like you are experiencing.
Yeah. Figuring that out. the hard way.
Wow.
Yeah, but I mean, it's when you know, you know.
Yeah. Where did you go after school? It's like, okay, you have a minor in photography. You're a somewhat of a wedding photographer, editor.
Then I did what any other kid does. Like they had a fun summer, and then I worked for a startup.
Of course.
And that's
What
when-
startup? Does the startup exist?
I think so. I'm not going to mention what.
Okay.
I love that.
No need to disclose.
I like that.
Okay, so you worked for a startup right out of school.
Right out of school.
Cool.
And
Did you move back to California?
that was always the plan, was to go back. And
Back home?
uh-huh.
Like to your parents' house?
Yeah.
Wow.
Hell yeah. So I was working at the startup, and I mean, you're just thrown in.
Yeah.
And you're like not paid, basically. And so really, like, I was there for, I don't even remember. It was
2 months.
too long. No, I was probably over a year. But like I started, and I was basically like an intern, and then when I left, I was like the director of community, like.
Usually how it works, huh?
Exactly. It was like just people kept leaving, so I just kept getting their responsibilities. And I was like the director of program or communication. I don't remember even what
As
it
like
was.
a college grad.
As a college grad.
Learning as you're going.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And then
Really utilizing your degree.
yeah, always have, right? And so
Even
after
today,
that,
yeah.
I went to another startup, and this is actually what kind of launched me into doing UX. Was I worked for a company called Like Live, which is, I mean, they were so ahead of their time because they did online college application videos. So instead of kids having to like travel to whatever school they're applying to like have an in-person interview, they would record their video. Like the school would submit questions to like all their applicants, and then the students would record their videos, and they could do it in really clever ways, like show their creativity that you really can't show in an in-person. So if like once COVID happened, it was like, oh my God, like this would have been perfect if
But
like,
this was like 10 years before it's...
yeah, exactly. So it's like, but
There's I forget what it's called. There's like one of those like video. It's not Zoom. The name is escaping me right now, but it's like these companies. Maybe you would know it, Colin. There's I forget what the name is. I'll try and look for it later. But help me understand. It was like just geared specifically for college students that if they didn't want to do an in-person interview.
Yeah, but the schools, they were the clients. So the schools had to actually use this platform.
And then how would a student record a video?
They would be given instructions on like how to do it. So you just get like
Use your MacBook webcam?
use your phone. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow, and that's a whole business, huh?
Software as a service, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
But then, so when I was doing that, I was just doing client relations, and then they knew I did Photoshop, and so like, okay, we want to like do this new company, and geared towards like professionals like interviewing. So rather than just college students, it's like, okay, how do we get companies on board to do this? And so like, can you design a like homepage for us? And I was like, okay, I can do that. And they're like, well, how would someone like sign in and like use this portal? And so I did all that. And I was like, wait, I like this. Nice. I like designing, like, this makes sense to me. And so at first I thought I wanted to be like a front end developer or something. And then realized, so I took a lot of night classes because I was like, there's something here. Like, this is clicking for me.
You did night classes when you were working?
Yeah.
Well, so you continued with school in a sense.
Yeah, so I did a typography class, a graphic design class,
Oh, wow.
a web development class, and I think another one, but I did that at oh my gosh.
Somewhere in Los Angeles?
Yeah, Pasadena, Art Center. So Art Center in Pasadena, which is like a super incredible art school, but this was just like a night class
that arbitrary task. It was like,
yeah,
hey,
it
Jenna,
unlocked everything.
Take a stab at making a web page.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
And that set you on this path of like, I want to learn typography. I want to learn like
everything. Wow. And so then I ended up leaving to do General Assembly, their UX course. So it was like 9 to 5, 10 weeks. And like
you boot camped.
Yeah. And it like, I mean, changed
your whole life.
I like didn't go to sleep. I was like, this is so exciting to me because like I just became obsessed with it. And so right out of there, I got hired. I did some like contract work, and then I got hired by an agency, Critical Mass, who were then, I was there for about a couple of years, and then Critical Mass was hired by Apple. And so like a few years I worked for Apple after all of this happened. And like, I just figured out like what I wanted to do. And it was pretty wild.
Wow.
Yeah. It like happened really quickly because Apple to me was always like the end game. Like that's where you want to, like, once you get there, it's like, where else do you go?
Apple was on your radar from when? Always?
I mean, yeah, I had an iPhone in 2007.
You had an original iPhone, Jenna?
Yes.
Wow. So you've always been sort of a techie in a sense. Using computers, I guess you can bucket that as techie. Wow. What made you get an iPhone? And what phone did you have before?
Well, my brother is like, looks up all that stuff and like he's in the know. And he's like, we got to get an iPhone. And I think, so my whole family, we got iPhones.
Nice.
You knew about Apple previously.
Oh,
yeah. Of course. And then
I mean, iPods, my brother.
I had an original iPod.
Yeah. Like the, didn't even have the spin wheel. It had like the click.
Oh, the buttons.
That's what I have on my desk. With the menu, pause, forward and back with the spinny click wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like the physical buttons on the side.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Firewire. Yeah. God, that thing is still so crazy. Mm-hmm. It's 2001, 22 years old at this point. It's crazy. It still turns on, still works. Like,
oh, wow.
Yeah. I just need it. The battery doesn't hold a charge, but if I have a Firewire cable, all my music's still on there. It's really nuts what kind of like a time capsule that is. So you knew about Apple. Were you like as a teenager, as a kid, did it cross your mind that you wanted to go work there, or you just like liked the products?
I just like the products. Like
Yeah.
I had no idea what I wanted to do in high school. I thought I was gonna be a photographer.
Yeah,
Because I'm just so artsy. And,
and there's probably like it's like you're not gonna go. Well, maybe today it's different with like shot on iPhone campaigns, but like it's not like you were like I want to go be a photographer at Apple. It's just like
I wasn't building hardware, like designing software, back then.
Yeah.
So it's like.
Did you do any programming classes?
Just at the night school, at the night class that I did.
Like basic HTML, CSS.
Yeah.
Do you use any of that stuff?
No.
No, yeah. You're so I want to ask you a question that I'm curious to see your response to. Jenna, what is the difference between
Oh no.
What is the difference between UX and UI?
Well, I can take that one.
Softball.
I was like, I thought it was going to be like some programming question.
I was gonna be back about the coffee.
No, so the way I describe it is like UI is just making things. It's sort of like the finishing touches on stuff, but like the UX is like the reason why I do it is like I never want anyone to feel stupid or dumb, and so like if things are designed poorly. They can be beautiful, but if you don't understand how to use it, that's a UX problem. Like that's
and UX is user experience versus
Yeah.
user interface.
Yeah.
So UI is
what you actually it's the things that you can see,
like the color of the button, the shape of the thing.
I mean, at a really high level, yeah. But then the UX is like it's like the foundation and like the blueprint to. So I use like a lot of gray boxes and like arrows and lines but like I give it to someone to then like make it beautiful and then like do the animations and do like all the things that really make it a rich experience. I feel like that's the UI.
So UX is the
part.
Blueprint. Like you're designing the sort of architecture.
Yes.
In a sense. So it's like a user lands on this page. What do they see? How big is this thing? Is there a menu bar up top? That's sort of like
how do you get from A to B, and how do we want them? How do you get from C to A? Right. So like, there's all these different paths that, if we're talking about websites or like an app, for instance, like you never know how someone's gonna get to the ultimate page that you want them to get to. So when we're designing stuff, I'm like, well, like I'm come up with every use case I can think of. Like I'm the use case queen. I'm like, the edge case queen. I'm just like, well, you can do it this way. Like what happens if like they come from here and they have like zero context because they didn't. So you have to make sure that like wherever someone lands, they know where they are.
Wow.
And that's a lot of UX is like how to get out, how to move forward, and like how to understand where they are presently.
When you designed that website for that startup that was launching their new thing, did they use your design?
Yeah. Yeah.
They did.
Yeah.
And
guess where the nav was?
At the top?
It was at the bottom.
At the bottom.
Wow, revolutionary.
Isn't that wild?
Wow. Okay. Wow. That's like an inside joke in a sense.
But isn't that wild?
It's crazy now that Safari by default has the address bar on the bottom.
On their phone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah. But that makes sense because that's where your thumbs are.
Yep.
Correct.
I thought it was weird right at the beginning.
You have your phone like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had this conversation last time I was in town.
Yeah,
because you're like, I moved that thing right to the top. I'm like, why?
Yeah, but I also use a mini iPhone.
But now you have to like
yeah, I know.
It's not that
move
bad
your
with a
hand.
Mini though. The battery's dead, so you can't even use it anymore.
How did you know how to design a website? It's just intuition?
Yeah.
It's amazing, Jenna. That's crazy. Like there was no one telling you here's how to do it.
No one. So when I was doing it, I was like, this just makes sense. And like I was designing not just like a marketing page, but it was like, how does someone upload a video and like ask questions, like all these different input fields.
And you have to be thinking
like,
about, the progress bar.
Error states. And like, and for me, like I just geeked out. I'm like, this is.
That's the best thing though.
Awesome.
You're so intrinsically like curious. You're like, I'm figuring this out.
And you can chart this in 100 different paths.
Yeah.
And then what I guess I never really like going from C to A.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you're 6 menus deep. How do you get all the way back? And it's like, Do you know where you are when you land on a certain page from some link somewhere?
Yeah, like not most people.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of people who never see a homepage, right? They click on a link that was in a blog or someone sent them a link. So the homepage is not always the front door. It could be like
a window.
a window.
Or or like you're just thrown in the attic and you're like, where am I? Where's the light
How do I
switch?
get down? Yeah.
Yeah. UX though doesn't just exist in software.
No, it's
right?
designing of a chair.
I was
It's
gonna
like
bring up a chair also.
anything.
So there is okay, so let's use the chair as an example. UX of the chair versus UI of the chair. UI is the material. This like leather and the poles here, and then UX is like the ergonomics.
Well, this isn't a user interface, so I don't just.
Okay, fair. But I guess the experience
Totally, the aesthetic,
here,
like it's the design of it, but like how. These are pretty great chairs, aren't they?
yeah,
These are really comfy.
yeah. So they have
So that's a user experience. These are comfy.
And then I guess is
How do you feel when you're sitting in them?
it's subjective.
Oh, that's absolutely. That's
'Cause there's
that's
no
the UI.
right or wrong.
Like that's. I mean, it's not UI. It's just like the design of it. There's the functionality of it. We can call that like functionality. Is that it's a chair that your feet can touch the ground.
Sure.
Like, you can,
They have armrests.
They have armrests.
Not a tall back.
Not a tall back. Like if I lean back, I'm gonna hit this wall.
Yep.
But like
UI then only exists in software. Not only exists, but like when someone says UI, it's interface design as software.
No.
No?
There's no way. Look at the buttons on this.
I guess physical interface
Yeah,
with
yeah,
knobs
yeah.
and switches. Okay,
Yeah.
fair,
Yeah.
fair.
like a remote control.
The way
It's
the
all
keyboard's
those-
laid out, like
Yeah.
Yes, we have the Samsung TV that we have at home.
Yes.
Has that
I love that you live together.
horrible. It's funny
Glad
'cause,
someone did. No, I'm just kidding.
we have this.
And then the interview was over.
Yeah, and then he just kept talking about coffee. We have
Coffee and eggs.
the remote that TV came with is fucking horrible. There's way too many buttons. The play pause controls, it's so bad. And I have the same TV at home. We use the same TVs here with the remote that has like no buttons on it, and it's dead simple to use.
Yeah.
So the controller with a lot of buttons, as I'm learning to say, not buttons. How do you say that word?
Oh gosh, now I'm on the spot. Button.
Okay,
Button,
yeah. So you
yeah.
don't say the T's the way some people say their T's.
Button?
Yes. There are people
I know.
that have watched my YouTube videos. I'm looking at you. They're like, Sam needs to learn how to pronounce his T's. Like button. It's button. I'm sorry. I'm from New Jersey.
Yeah,
It's button.
that's-
No, but there's some people, I think it's a West Coast thing, that people say button. Press the button. Button. Anyway, a controller, a TV remote that has a shitload of buttons. Bad user experience because it's confusing.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I guess the interface also is the buttons, but the interface is on the television. It's the UI of the TV. Right?
I mean, both.
I still don't really understand the difference, to be quite honest. And I
They're
kind of
definitely interlinked.
they
of
are,
course,
right?
yeah.
And I like partially went to school for this kind of stuff.
Yeah, but I think you're trying to separate the two.
And there's no separating the two?
them. One
I always
influences
see
the other,
this
the
like
other influences
They're
the
always
other.
together.
once in a
Yeah.
while I see this this like meme of like UX and then UI, and it's always like this like joke of I don't even know what image I'm thinking of, but anyway, we can get off this topic.
Well, there's one of my favorite references is like there's it's actually the difference between design and UX. And design,
go.
it's a sidewalk and it's in the shape of like a T. And then the UX, you see there's like in between the X there's like grass, and then there's just these really worn out like grass strips
Yep,
of all
people
walking
cutting
through,
the corner.
cutting through, because the design of it was this like beautiful, I mean it's a sidewalk, but like
Yeah.
this T, and everyone's like, no, I'm just gonna take a shortcut and just like go this way. And so that to me was like a really clear difference of like that's what UX is at like a meta level.
Yep.
Meaning people will just do things that make sense to them.
Yeah.
Which is
The
like,
path of least resistance.
Yeah.
yes. But for some people, that's like overly complicated. Mm-hmm. Like when I was at like a little art gallery thing the other day, and there were these headphones to put on, and I could not find the L and the R on the headphones. Mm-hmm. And they were like printed in small, and I just like missed them. And I'm like, am I the idiot? I'm like looking on the inside, looking inside of the ear cups, looking on the outside, and they were like on the back in small.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I mean, especially with working here, but just like my nerd brain is like so fixated on like, did people like really think about using this? Like, I mean, Canon cameras in particular, I've been using for, wow, like 14 or 15 years at this point. Love the way they're designed. Very familiar with the interface. I use a Sony camera and I'm lost.
Yeah.
But that's a me thing, right? It's sort of
No, I think
impossible.
cameras are pretty complicated.
And also, generally, people like Canon cameras because the user interface is
good.
just better. Like the user experience is better. It's more simple.
But then I would just sort of like challenge, like, no, isn't it just a matter of learning? You know?
Yes, for everything, but that learning curve, like it's the Mac versus Windows thing. The like learning curve of using is much less.
And this is why
because the user
also
experience is better.
This is why the iPhone was so successful, because it was dead simple to use.
Yep.
Hard to confuse a grid of apps. Where's the phone? Click the phone icon.
Yep.
I vividly remember when my mom got her iPhone for the first time. I think she watches these streams. Hi, Mom. She kept having me buy her old Motorola Razors off of Amazon.
I had one of those.
Pink Razor, V3, V6, whatever it was. And looking back on that thing, it's like, man, that whole thing kind of complicated to use looking back.
Do you have any of those like memories where you're like, this user interface was perfect? Like this is like a reference that you like. Whether it's a phone or a piece of hardware or a software, anything.
I'm going to be honest, ever since I had Jack, all those like, I used to have such a better memory, but now it's just like,
now it's just
mom
baby
brain. Now it's just like,
wow.
You just like, but yeah, I've had those moments where I'm like, this is incredible.
Yeah.
But like, I'll say the AI pin is pretty wonderful.
Nice.
That's a plug right there.
Yeah.
That's a great plug.
And now, and we could say it. Make sure you join the wait list for priority access.
Join the wait list.
Make sure you join that wait list. If you want to buy a device at some point in the future, not going to say when, make sure that you put in your information. Yes, type it in. Thank you, Colin. Good plug there, Jenna. I'm still so fascinated by the fact that your entire career was unlocked by this like random task that you were given, and like it's like you weren't even like actually qualified to do that.
100%
which is the best part of the whole thing. It's not like they hired you as a graphic designer and you had 5 years of experience building websites. You in fact never built a website before. Or maybe that's not true.
I mean, in
You're
high school,
designing GeoCities websites.
I mean, like in high school, they like, you design like your.
But that's like school projects versus like a
MySpace layouts.
and they used your design.
Yeah, I mean, there's no one else.
And again, it was intuition. You're guided by your intuition. Is that the way you work today, you think?
Absolutely. And that, you kind of have to work that way here.
Yeah.
It's so fast paced.
100%.
Like you don't have time to really like, there's definitely things that you take your time and like you really think through, but but a lot of these conversations are like super quick, and you just say like, what do you think? And then you'll just say what you think. You don't really have, if you go home and think about it for a week, it's like, well, we've moved past that. Like,
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about, though. We have these moments all the time where it's like everyone's intuition kind of comes to this like meeting point, and we're all aligned, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah. Well, this is also why working in an office is so special. Like I remember when you were here last, which felt like last week. Maybe it was like
I kind of was here almost
a
like
week or two ago. Can't exactly say what you asked me my opinion on, but I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And it's like you kind of just like gut check the people around you, and having these sort of like very quick in person sort of just like, hey, what do you think about this? Instead of like and I say this on every stream, I'm so grateful to be working in an office alongside other human beings that you can just like tap on the shoulder, go over to their desk and say like, hey, can I get your eyes on this for 2 minutes instead of like scheduling a 30-minute thing, and it's like show up to Zoom, all this, you know?
You're saying this to the girl who works remotely.
Yeah. But you understand.
Totally.
Yes.
And because when I come to the office, like I get almost nothing done because.
But it's good.
But I mean, everyone else gets a lot of things done, but like I don't have any desk time.
Yep.
And so, and it is a lot of like.
But do you feel what I just described when
Absolutely.
you come here? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
No, I
yeah.
think there's such a benefit of being in the office. And I think that's
Yeah.
why when I come here, a lot of things get done.
Yeah, just go.
But it's like the other things that I have to do sort of are on pause because
You don't get the desk time.
I don't get the desk. Yeah.
Which makes total sense. I am 100% with you. I feel
Yeah.
that's why
Thank you, Colin.
I build this thing for myself.
Whoa! I feel is there a faction happening
No,
here?
not at all.
It's true. You need desk time though. It's like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
am
yeah.
media managing all this stuff.
Yeah.
You
To
know?
just like do
Yeah.
like there's like so many different nuances to like the work that
Yes.
you know.
Yeah. But also like I think in today's world of with like Slack, it's so easy just to be like, hey, can I just like ask you a question? I don't know exactly where you are at the moment. Like you could be like eating lunch, but it's like, hey, like you could message me anytime. It's like, hey, do you have like 5 minutes?
Yes.
And then we'll
yes.
just like
let's jump in a huddle.
let's jump in a huddle.
And talk about UX.
Yeah.
You when you worked at Apple, you were in an office. Mm-hmm. Did
Yeah.
you work at the spaceship?
I did not. I worked in
Cupertino?
Sunnyvale, so it's
Sunnyvale.
It's like a 5-minute drive away. It's but I was in Marcom, so the marketing communications. So I worked on their website, apple.com.
That's
Anything
awesome.
anything before the buy button, I worked on.
Wow.
So before I worked on like their PDPs, so like their buy flows and stuff like that when I started.
So you're a human being
Yeah.
that has helped design
Yeah.
Apple.com,
Yes.
which is one of the most visited websites in the whole world.
Yeah. So
Wow,
like
that's
compare
really
pages,
awesome,
compare
Jenna.
modules, like those are like my babies.
Wow. You had mentioned it was mass appeal.
Critical mass.
Critical mass. Mass appeal.
Also,
Critical
Michael Mofina works there now.
Full time?
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. Wow, good job, Michael. That's really awesome. Wow, that's crazy. They got bought. They were contracted.
Yeah, they were contracted.
Like you had an at Apple email address.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. How long did you work at Apple?
So it's broken up into two parts because I worked for Critical Mass at Apple for about like 15 months, and then I was hired full time at Apple for like almost 5 years,
Wow.
and then.
But
this
so
came around.
when you were doing the agency work, it was still siloed. It was like you were not an official Apple employee. You didn't go to the office.
No, I was in the office.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's how I moved up to the Bay Area. It was supposed to be just like I think 9 months, and then it extended to 15 months, and then I was hired. So yeah, no, you're like in the office with everyone.
Even though you're not a full-time employee
Right.
for Apple.
Right. You still have a badge, but it has like all Apple employees get a badge similar to ours.
Yep.
Has your photo, but it has a little Apple logo
Yep.
on it. And if you're a full-time employee, it has a color. But if you're a vendor or contractor, it's gray.
Gotcha.
Wow.
So that's how you can tell. Because if not, like you just assume that everyone you're talking to. Because even as a contractor, you had an Apple email address.
Did you want to work for Apple proper when
Absolutely.
you did.
But,
So like
but I didn't think it was ever going to happen. And it just,
even though you were in the building?
yeah, because I was just working for an agency. I didn't think it would ever, especially that quick.
Wow. What is your if I were to ask you in terms of like, because it seems like you're kind of like a nerd in a sense, like gadget nerd maybe. I mean, you had an iPhone in 2007. What is
Like millions of other people, but I love this. Go for it. Right? Millions of people had that.
In 2007, do you think it was millions?
No,
No.
you're right. But I blame my brother for that. He was the tech
I
guy.
feel like the iPhone didn't go mainstream until like the 4 and the 4S, and then once the 5 came out with the redesign and the bigger screen, that's when it catatapulted
Yeah.
into the stratosphere. But
I
having
trust you.
having
You
an
know.
iPhone
Yeah,
in 2007,
yeah.
2008, it was like
I'm
you
sorry
were
to question.
what are some Apple products that you hold near and dear to your heart?
I mean, iPhone,
Sure.
iPad.
Did you have an original iPad?
I did.
2010?
I did.
The rounded back?
Yep.
Yep. Yep, 9.7
Actually,
inch
no, I
screen.
didn't because I wanted the white
No.
one. I waited till the white one came out.
Okay.
White?
Yeah.
Oh, with the white bezel.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
iPad 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy how thin that thing got overnight.
I know. But now it's like
It's
it's like sharp edges.
yeah, the iPad
George
Pro.
like broke his toe because he dropped it.
Yeah.
on
Yes,
his
Drop-
yes.
yeah.
I mean,
They are
it's
heavy.
They're
it's just
heavy.
it's just like a glass slab. But I remember getting that original iPad, and I was like, wow, Apple made like a tablet computer. Like
Yeah.
they really actually did it. And then the next year, the iPad 2 came out, and I'm like, how does Apple just continue one-upping themselves like this? And now it's like, yeah, they're
And what I think is so crazy is like we work with the people who like designed it.
I
Yeah.
know. It is
That's,
not
like,
lost on
that's
me. It is
wild
crazy
to me.
I mean, you also are one of the. I mean, when I made my
Yeah, you say that, but you're one of them.
Yeah, I
Influence
made my Humane video a year ago, and I was like, all these former Apple employees work at the secret startup, and like half the people that I've had on the live stream are, work.
Yeah.
I think that ratio is basically still stay the same. Like, talked to some people recently that have joined. Oh yeah, I spent whatever 6-7 years at Apple. Like
Yeah.
it's pretty nuts. Okay, Jenna, I'll turn it to you. Is there anything that you want to add or plug or talk about or mention or say or inspire the youth with?
Oh man.
Talk about motherhood.
Motherhood, or I mean, it's what's crazy is like when I was hired, I was 8 months pregnant and
Hired here.
and I was like, I'm like
Yeah.
gonna be gone. So I was here for 4 weeks, and when I went on maternity leave, and like that was crazy.
yeah.
Like you're hiring someone anyway. It was just
Yeah.
so it's been this crazy experience of being able to, and it's wonderful to work from home.
Yeah.
And to have, because I can just like go upstairs for lunch, and like we have lunch together.
Yep.
Nice.
And you don't have to do the commute every day,
Yeah.
and like
you get to
more
spend time with your
Yeah.
not anymore infant baby, but you were able to spend time with your infant child.
Yeah.
And not just like rush back to an office.
Yeah. Like you're just
Yeah.
like, okay, mom's got to go back to work.
Yeah. What do you think you've learned about being a mother? I mean, you can't really be taught how to be a mother. It's kind of like being taught design. You just sort of have
Well,
to
no,
do
it's,
it.
it's kind of how I learned design. You
Yeah,
just sort of
you
like,
just do it.
you just do it.
Yeah.
Doing it for like thousands of years.
Yeah.
And it's,
Yeah.
It's intuition.
It is. It's baked into our genes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or your genes.
Yeah.
But it definitely takes a village. Like it's,
Yeah.
but it's just so cool to like, every stage is so different. Like now he's like starting to do like the make believe, which is like so fun.
Wow.
Like that's probably the coolest part.
Does he talk?
He says ball.
Nice.
Not
Dada.
mom.
No, he says ball, book.
Smart.
A lot of
kid.
B words. A lot of
Okay.
B words.
Okay.
Yes, no, dada. No mama.
Wow.
Bottle, book.
Wow.
But primarily ball.
Walking.
Yes. Running.
Wow. That
Opening
like
doors.
cute baby run with a
They
stomping.
just look like
yeah.
drunk frat boys.
Yeah. Climbing up and down the stairs.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's true. It's like the best thing in life.
They're just wild.
Yeah.
They're just. I mean, it's just so cute because like they just need you, and it's like this. There's so many people around, and like in his life, like I've got a full-time nanny, but at the end of the day, like when I come upstairs, he's just like,
Wow. Oh my God. it's
and like she spends more time with
crazy.
him than I do because
Yeah.
she spends,
But they still know. They're
but
like,
they still know, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think Jack knows like that the nanny is a nanny at that age? Do you think he understands?
I don't
like,
think he knows anything really, like
Yeah, yeah,
about
yeah.
relationships. I think he's just like, I like this lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
She's wonderful.
But then when he sees Mama, it's like, oh my
Yeah,
God.
so different. And
wow.
like dada.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like
Are-
freak out, like excited.
and you're watching your child like all from being a tiny little infant to like this like walking phrase uttering little
Yeah.
crazy. I mean, this is what my mom says to me all the time. She's like, I remember when you guys were 3 years old. Like, it goes by like this.
It does. I mean, he got his first molar, and I was like, because he's got 8 teeth, but now he's got 9, and it's just like you're giving him food, like real food, and you're like, you can't chew, like you don't have any teeth, like how are you going to be able to eat that?
Wow.
But yeah, it does go by fast, but it also like I think being remote and like being at home, like it's been able to like take time and actually like enjoy every part of it, which is
I mean,
good, 'cause
there's
it's a
some
cutie.
other people here that I mean.
I love this. This is the other side of the fence that we don't see. I love.
What's
this.
that?
A perspective from home, like a.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just like being of course we all have jobs, but like we're
Yeah.
all people with families.
Yeah.
You know, that's like
I mean, things are just so crazy. Like all of us, we just work so much right now.
Yeah.
And so I feel like there will be a time where like things get calmer
Yeah.
here.
Well,
maybe.
Maybe.
We're all
No one
thinking-
knows.
So I'm like, mommy's got to go back to work. Like,
Yeah.
And
But
so
you,
it's
I
just
mean,
a lot of working.
you work a lot.
Yeah.
Like, and you're here a lot too. I
Yeah.
feel like, you know. All right, Jenna, we're coming up on the top of the hour. That's it. We did it.
That was fun.
It was incredible. It was
Colin,
great.
anything?
I love the perspective.
Anything to add, my friend?
Nothing from me.
Okay.
Join the waitlist. hu.ma.ne
/waitlist.
I'll put it in chat.
Join the Discord. We hit 10,000
Yeah.
people in Discord, which is pretty insane. If you're watching this and you're not in the Discord, it's easy to find discord.gg /humane. Jenna, thank you. Thank you for
Sam.
sharing your
Thank you,
story.
Colin. Yeah.
Okay, we have like a all hand. I call it all hands. Bethany calls it team sync. We have there's bagels.
I know. I'm excited
and,
about the
and
bagels.
breakfast. So you'll eat a bagel, but you won't drink a coffee.
Those are very different things.
They're very, very different things. All right, I'm done waxing poetic about coffee. Stream, thank you for tuning in. Let me just
Thank
look
you.
at. Let me look at.
A lot of people in chat. Thank you, everybody, for chatting. I try to respond while
Thank
you're
you,
live.
Becca. Oh, Colin, your mom's in here too. Hi,
Yep,
Kelly.
yep.
Ellery's in here too.
had
Colin's
like a
wife
whole
is in
mom
here.
Moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. I loved it.
This has been insightful as always. I'm glad. And I sort of never know who's watching, you know, it's just numbers on a screen, but we did a San Francisco Discord meetup a few weeks ago, and there was that woman Susan was like, I watch all the live streams with my kids.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I'm like, this is amazing. So this
Yeah.
is why we do what we do. And I'm glad that you got here early today and we were able
Yeah.
to make the
Thank you
stream
for making this
happen.
happen.
Yeah.
It's
Like so many people
Make
here.
it so easy for us. Thank
This
you.
this
Yeah,
one
of
has been a
course.
long time coming, so thank you for doing it.
Yeah.
Okay, goodbye
And
everybody.
my wife's in chat.
And your wife's in chat. Shout out
Ellery.
Ellery. Okay, we are not going to do this next week because I'm going to be in New York. We will be back the week of August 7th. TBD on the guest. I have some ideas. And that's it. Have a great Wednesday. It's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday, my dudes. Okay, goodbye.
Adios,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye.